All right, welcome to the relationship show. This woman writes this post, major sparks after just one date. Has anyone ever went on a date with someone they met online, parentheses, with no expectations, and ended up feeling immense chemistry and not being able to stop thinking about them? Like when a week of knowing each other feels like months, when you sit all day and think about this person. I would say it's rare for this to happen, but it for sure does. And it's like, well, usually that's just like the two of you have some kind of like your polarities align or your interests align. It's just like, or they meet each other's criteria. And, sometimes it can take a long time to find a person like that. But, that's why it's so useful to have those relationship skills, because when someone like this does come into your life, then it's a matter of, you using the skills that you already have to raise the other person's interest. That way it works out better in the relationship and you don't lose this person. She says, if this feeling were to be mutual, does it increase odds of potential relationship working out? So picking the right partner is huge. If you can really pick a partner that works well with you, works well with your values, that's really like half the battle. But you can't look at it from this standpoint, meaning like she's looking at it, does it, increase the odds of it happening? What I'm meaning by this is that you always have to grow in the relationship. You can't treat it like, I just picked a good partner, now it's done, and just like check that off the list. Now it's, you always have to be working, always have to be improving, always have to be like courting the other person throughout a relationship. So don't get complacent or think that you've got it all like handled if you just pick a partner, because that is not enough. You have to work on yourselves. You have to get the skills to improve and understand relationships, the skills to communicate, because what you'll often notice is that those feelings that you're kind of experiencing right here, they usually last about 1 year. And so it's like, that's what's called like the infatuation or honeymoon period. And so once those kind of euphoric feelings like diminish, then that's really when you start to realize the other person's faults, the negative things they do, maybe things that aren't really supporting the relationship. And that's when you kind of see the person who, as they are, not with this like illusion of who they are just because you feel so good around them. And then in that moment, that's when you really see a lot of problems. And so it's like getting past that year mark, it's like, well, they start to question, is this really a right fit? And so that's why it's like, it's so important to know the skills of relationships, and you can't really get around that. It's like anything. It's like you have to practice, you have to improve, you have to study, and all those things, working more and improving your skills just increase your odds of success. Along with this thing you're talking about here, which is like picking a partner that you really feel good with. She says she's in her 30s. She says, I think that by the time we are in our 30s, we more or less know, what we are looking for in a partner. And when we see it / feel it, we just go for it. I don't know if that's true though. It's like you might think that you do because you really want this to work. But you can't really just judge somebody off of like one encounter, because no matter if you're in your 30s, no matter if you're later in your 50s, no matter if you're in your 20s, whatever age group, it's like oftentimes people put a mask on who they really are. And so usually like people show up and think they have to behave a certain way in order to attract this other person or to show up in like a dating relationship. And so they have basically this mask on. And you might not notice like what they're really like until after about 90 days. And then you start to really identify what they're like. It's the kind of a similar concept as like the infatuation period. But in this one, it's just about the mask. And so it's like, they'll start to display patterns that they just normally did before the relationship, almost because it's like they're more comfortable with you. But that's really when you want to get to know somebody. And sometimes it can even be longer than 90 days. So just don't rush into things. Just kind of take it as it is. Well, really just focus on having fun. It's like you're in a great position right now if you've met somebody that you really click like that level. because that's really what so many people want, is that feeling. Um, and that's what so many people are seeking, whether or not it's maintained or not. It's like that is the thing that people seek, is that feeling of just complete comfort, security, excitement, thrill, anticipation, like all those emotions just really just combined in that thing. That's really what people really crave. What are your thoughts on this? As busy adults, we have less time to waste. I would say you are in a good position. I think you have a lot of things going for you in this relationship. Those having that attraction, that mutual attraction to one another, will probably get you through some struggles and some difficult things that come up. But you just can't overlook these and never change those things. So it's like if they, there's two sides to that. One side is getting through it, and maintaining the relationship, but the other side is if you get through it and don't change it, maybe a year down the line, maybe those same things, those same patterns come up, and you'll just have to handle them then, or it's going to cause you problems in the relationship. But these are really just all precautions. And it's like if you understand relationships, understand communication, then you're really sitting in a good position finding this person. And then from those of you that are listening and want to, are looking for a situation like this, you just have to gain these skills beforehand, so that you are prepared for when somebody like this does come into your life, because when they do, it's like you'll just have better odds of maintaining that relationship with them.